I know I'm already in trouble. If you have looked ahead and seen what the topic for today is about on this video, you may have already gotten out your boxing gloves, ready for a fight. It's those little two words that begin our sections that say, "Wives, submit." And some of us are already closing down, wondering what's ahead, fearing what's ahead. Hi, I'm Karen Wingate, and we're looking this week at the passage of Scripture from Ephesians 5:21 through 6:10. Everyone take a deep breath. Let's look at the bigger picture of what Paul is talking about. We need to read the entire section from beginning to end and realize that Paul is talking about three different kinds of relationships. This is after he's talked about how we need to have that transformational life, that we are living as children of light rather than children of darkness. And that's going to affect even our most intimate relationships. How we treat each other is going to speak volumes to those who are watching us. And so he chooses three different relationships in our lives: the marriage relationship, the parent-child relationship, and the employer-employee relationship, or in Paul's time, it was masters and servants. And in each case, he's saying, this group should do this, and this is the way the other side should react, and this is what they should do. He says, wives, submit. That means respect. Be willing to yield. And then he says, husbands, you love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for it. And you know, if you think about it, that kind of sacrifice, that kind of unconditional love is a kind of submission as well, because the husband is to give up his way of doing things for the good of his family. And the wife is supposed to recognize that God has made a chain of authority and that somebody's got to do the dirty work of leading, and the rest of us need to follow, and she is to respect that. But then the same applies for the parent-child relationship. God has put parents in charge. And so children, you are to obey your parents. But the flip side is that the parents aren't supposed to do things that would exasperate their children. They're supposed to love their children. They're supposed to bring them up in the training of the Lord. Basically, I'm telling you what to do because God has told me what to do. And I'm doing His will by teaching you His ways. Finally is the master-servant relationship, that somebody has to take the lead in a business or work relationship. Slaves, respect your master. Treat them as you would treat Jesus. And that goes for employees too. Do what your boss tells you to do in the Lord. And employers or masters, you treat them as you would want to be treated, as you would treat Jesus. It's both. In order for this thing to work, both sides are equally doing it. Now, let's admit it. We're flawed. We're all reaching towards that end of living this life of respect and an unconditional life that Christ calls us to do. And no one knows better than me that how much I can flub up on what Christ has called me to do. We keep praying, we keep trying, we keep growing. And in some ways, I think it's harder for the man to sacrifice than it is for the wife to submit. They've got a tough job. So whatever side of the equation you're on, pray for the other side. Pray that they will follow God's leading and do as God has called them to do. The big word here is respect in our relationships. The big words are to love each other so that the world can look at the way we're living and say, see how they love each other. I'm trying to be what I can be for Jesus so others will come to Him and know Him better. Are you? Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day.